Hi everyone, it's Karen Miller from Redbird Quilt Co. and Karen's Quilts, Crows, and Cardinals blog. I wanted to share with you tonight a little bit about this gridded orange peel design that we shared on the Free Motion Quilting Frenzy board on Facebook a few weeks ago. I have done a tutorial that discusses how you create the grid for the design. These are actually 1-inch squares that are on point, and I have a tutorial for how to actually mark them out. In this particular design, I used the Hera marker and did the creases in the fabric. It looks like there is a blue marker on there, but that's actually the Aurifil 50 weight thread that I used to stitch the design. So there are no actual markings on the quilt. I used the Hera marker to cut the markings or crease the fabric with a 1-inch ruler and the Hera marker. So I'll put those aside for now. So the grid has already been stitched with 50 weight Aurifil thread, and I'm just going to go ahead now and show you how I did the continuous curve quilting to finish this orange peel gridded design. I have a Janome ruler foot on the machine right now. It's really not a requirement for stitching this design, but it's the foot that I happen to have on the machine. It is a 1/4 inch tall, and it keeps your needle a 1/4 inch from a ruler if you happen to be using one. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm on free motion. I have a slider down, my feed dogs are covered, and I have a pair of gloves on in order to help control the quilt sandwich. So as I mentioned in the other video, I'm going to go ahead and just do a continuous curve stitching with a little bit of a curve in between each of the grids on the quilt top. I'm not going to well, actually, maybe I will turn this around so that you can see what I'm doing. Normally you wouldn't turn your quilt top around when you're stitching back the other way, but what I'm doing is a continuous curve crossing over at the XY axis on the grid pattern. So you go down one side and up the other side, and then you just do another little orange peel over to the next XY axis on your quilt top. I'm going to flip this around so you can see. Normally you wouldn't need to do the flipping. So I'm going to go ahead and do this line as well. Again, I'm just going to the left and the right of the gridded pattern with a little bit of a curve, and I'm trying to cross over at the point at where the X and the Y axis meet. I'm going to flip this around and go down the other side, doing the continuous curve and attempting to cross over, at the grid. One thing that I've noted when I've done the sample and on this one is it really doesn't matter if your curves are exactly the same distance. It still comes out beautiful when you're done. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep stitching here. Again, crossing over at the axis and just kind of doing a nice little gentle curve. I'm going to stop, and this time I'm going to go backwards with my machine. Hope I don't break my thread. But again, I'm just crossing over at the axis back to the beginning. I'm going to take another little curve to go to the next line and then start right into my next curve. Back and forth down the line. And back up again, and you can stop if you need to rearrange your hands. You can stop anywhere along here. Just do your back and forth axis, or your back and forth continuous curve. That's the way the design looks. I'm going to do one more, traveling over to the next point. And it doesn't really matter which way you start, to your left or to your right, whatever's most comfortable for you. I'm going to stop, make sure my hands are arranged, and go back. Here. Okay. At this point, I'm going to do one more layer. Crossing over the XY axis as best you can. Always stop with your needle in the down position if you have that option on your machine. That way your quilt top tends to move a little less when you're rearranging your hands. Okay, now I've finished the up and down axes on this particular top. So now I'm going to do is finish out my orange peel on the top by doing the lower orange peel back to my starting point, and now I'm going to travel down this right hand side, or you could travel down the left hand side, whatever works for you. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the continuous curve on this line, crossing over at the point as best you can. I'm going to go back. You notice I didn't shift my quilt top. I'm stitching sideways. It's something that you should get used to doing when you're free motion quilting. I'm going to travel down to the next row and go ahead and do my continuous curve. I'm going to stop and come back the other way. I'm going to travel. Start my continuous curve, crossing over at that XY axis as best you can. I'm going to travel. You can see my loops are getting a little wonky here. But you know what, in the end, once you get this thing, this design stitched on a whole quilt, it's really, the texture just looks beautiful. I'm gonna finish the last row, traveling down on one of my orange peels. And going back. There we go. Now let me show you how this looks. There it is. Doesn't that just look beautiful? I know the lighting is not perfect, but that's a continuous curve over top of a 1-inch gridded pattern, which I've been referring to as orange peel grid. And I appreciate you stopping by. There's 2 written tutorials on my blog and on YouTube that show you how I mark the grid, and now this additional tutorial for stitching. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.